Hi everyone, my name is Allie Costner, and today I'm going to be talking about gender equality. But more specifically, I'm going to be talking about women's equality during the 1700s to maybe mid 1800s. So, as we all know, women's equality has been a pretty prominent issue throughout history, resulting in many women coming forth looking for change, whether that be through writing or, activist movements. But throughout this presentation, I want you all to keep in mind, how were women treated or seen? Were they treated equally? Did they get the same opportunities as men? And I will also provide further information that you can look back on throughout this presentation in the handout on Blackboard. But today I will be talking about a very influential woman in a time where women barely had any say. Her name was Judith Sargent Murray. Judith Sargent Murray was a writer with a focus on the independent female mind. Her work played an instrumental role in women's rights movements and even played a part in the promise of equality in the Declaration of Independence for men and women. That says a lot to me. She definitely played a very important role in this whole movement. So, one of her most well-known pieces she has written is called On the Equality of the Sexes, which is what I will be talking about today. In this work, she questions and challenges the views of men being superior to women, and just exactly why are women seen as different than men? Why can't they be equal to? She writes, but suffer me to ask, in what the minds of females are so notoriously deficient or unequal? She's basically just reiterating what every woman during that time is thinking. She goes on to state different qualities of women that make them equal, like their imagination, reasoning, judgment, and memory. Yet these qualities were still seen as deficient compared to men. She also writes, are we deficient in reason? We can only reason from what we know, and if an opportunity of acquiring knowledge hath been denied us, the inferiority of our sex cannot fairly be deduced from thence. So she's basically saying, how is it fair for women to be compared to men when these men during that time were offered far more opportunities than women? I mean, it's even shown, like, as little kids, you can't really compare them because women are immediately treated to basically stay at home and do all the house duties, like taking care of potential siblings, cooking, cleaning, while men were sent out to work and further their educational goals. So they were definitely offered a lot more than women. So even as little kids, women were taught to stay at home and help with house duties instead of going out. So how is it fair to even compare these women to men when they aren't even being offered the same experience that men have gained? They haven't had the chance to do anything else, so it's not fair at all. At least I think so. She writes, as their years increase, the sister must be wholly domesticated, while the brother is led by hand through all the flowery paths of science, which is very true. Throughout this, she goes on to talk about how women become so unsatisfied with their life, basically, because they want to experience all the same things as men get to do, like gaining a proper education and, starting a career with that, but they can't. It wasn't really a typical thing women were seen to do. She also writes, which this reinforces my statement, meantime, she herself is most unhappy if she feels the want of a cultivated mind. These women are capable of so much, but they are limited. They are extremely limited in what they can do. These women could be potential prodigies, but in that time, we may never, know because they never got to go further into that. And Murray later goes on just providing examples of how these perfect men in sacred passages like the Bible, we could say, David, that's one of the ones she referenced, are definitely not perfect. And then she's just basically saying that, women are equal to men. There shouldn't really be a superior person, you may say. But in conclusion, this is just a very important thing to know because women's rights have been a major issue throughout the past. And luckily now, women are finally getting the rights to do different things. So that's a very good thing. And hopefully you learned a little bit more about the role Judith Sargent Murray played in this whole women's rights movement.